We're going live. I think I've added her. Not sure. I can hear you too, but I can't see you. Oh, there you are. There you
If I can. Okay.
All right. We live. I think I sent a link to Judy, but I'm not sure. All right. There's a little bit of an echo, but I don't know if it's on my end. There she is. There's people coming in. All right, now then. Uh, I think last week or last time we did it, it was a little messed up because we had a couple different things going on. Can you see the chat?
See the chat.
Yeah. All right.
Sierra says hello. Hey, Harvey from Dutch. Carl May. Hello, Harvey. It's a warm one today here in Hannibal.
Yeah, Hannibal, Missouri.
And then Judy says, how do I?
It's hot in Missouri. But anyway, yeah, it's real muggy. I think last time.
I see you, Sierra.
I think last time the live was messed up, so we just kind of go over it again. Now, Gary Wayne Sutton, you and I believe that he's innocent. You know, if I didn't think he was innocent, I wouldn't be doing this. This is not about me. It's not, a lot of ways it's not about you. It's about him. And for those of you who don't know, he's on death row in Tennessee. And it's just heartbreaking. He's been there for decades. And Caroline's going to talk about him in a little bit. But we believe he's innocent. And I'll tell you this from what I know from being in prison. People say, well, everybody says they're innocent when they're in prison. No, they don't. They claim they're innocent when they're in jail because they don't want to talk about their case. Once they're in prison, been convicted and everything, they talk about what they did and everything. They say they were guilty and everything. And those who are innocent will say they're innocent and stick by it. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but Gary's never changed his story once, has it? Exactly. So, yeah, I can see him. My eyes are a little bad, but I can see him.
Okay. Okay.
Not one time. What's up, Harvey? Hey, Tiny. I think it's Tiny. Oh, Troy. I'm glad you're over here. I want you guys to hear this. Caroline's going to speak about it, but to me, it's really important. And I know if it's important to me, it's really important to her. And of course, it's even more important for the guy who's sitting incarcerated, his life on the line in Tennessee. So you go ahead and start wherever you want, Caroline. Hey, Kathy.
When all this happened, and he is 60 years old now. So he has been in prison for over 30 years for a crime that he still to this day says he didn't do. I know he didn't do it because I was with him the weekend that it was in question.
Hey, hey, Caroline, you got any other app? You got anything else open on your phone, like another YouTube or something open? Because I think that's what's causing the echo.
That's probably what caused it to echo.
Oh, it might be this room too. But anyway, go
So
ahead.
is it echo? Is it echoing really bad?
Yeah, people saying that you're breaking up and they can't hear you.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna move. With I'm
Uh,
gonna end up having to be in my car. I know what's happening. I'm gonna have to go to my car.
you sound better now.
Okay. Well, I'm in the rocks and I can't walk in rocks. I'm gonna go. So how about now?
I can hear you. Everybody
Okay.
hear?
All right. Let me get. I'm just gonna go over here. Okay, it's much better. Okay, I'm outside now, so I'm just gonna stand out here.
All right.
Hmm.
Sorry about
All
that.
right.
We
Well,
all
it's
having.
okay. The internet and stuff will go out here when the wind blows, so it's okay. I just want everybody to hear. So, basically, Gary was just a good old country boy, and Tommy was his best friend. And when you get into this story, people get confused because it was two murders in two separate counties, and they didn't have any evidence on him on either one. Um, so it gets a little confusing. I get confused sometimes when I talk about it because I have to say, wait a minute, this is Sevier County, not Blunt County. So it's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of lies, fabricating, forging, and when I mean lies, fabricating, and forging, I mean from law enforcement. I'm
Right.
talking
Yeah.
about I'm talking about the detective, the TBI agent, all of them. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I hear you fine.
Okay, okay, because I keep getting a thing to go outside. I'm outside, Sierra, I'm outside. So, but anyway, so I want people to understand that Gary and Tommy were best friends. They did everything together. Gary took care of him. It's not like they had any beef. They didn't have any beef together, and they never had a harsh word to one another. And then you've got Tommy's sister that comes into this, and we didn't really know her well, but she was a good person. So we don't even know how why any of these were even involved in anything. So so I guess what I need to start out is that Tommy and Gary and Gary's uncle all went everybody's texting me. Okay, never mind. Anyway, they all went out drinking that day and was on a Friday. They went drinking. Nothing unusual because that's just what you did in the woods. You know, got your beer cooler, went out riding in the back roads, drank all day, stopped by a bar, played pool, whatever. And that's what they did that day. Well, while they were at the bar on the Friday night, um, they had gotten to an altercation with someone, and it wasn't them, it was some other people because they were telling Tommy he was a narc and they have no idea. So they left the bar, and this is where it all starts, is at the bar on Alcoa Highway. We had two barmaids that remembered that they saw him and stuff, and then they also, one of them, she came up when we come to court. She tried to say that she was scared because they had scared her, and she had to call her husband that night because she was afraid to leave the bar.
Did you
That
say
didn't happen.
did you
Huh?
say the bar was on Alcohol Highway?
Alcoa Highway.
Oh, oh.
Or you could call it, a lot of people around here calls it Alkilia Highway because it's a bad highway, a really
Right.
bad highway here.
Bad man
So,
curves. Yeah.
and so anyway, they or so Sierra's telling me too, they also ran these trials backward is what I'm trying to get to. So we started out with Tommy and all the timeline that they said that Tommy was killed on a Friday night. So that was in Blount County. Well, then Connie had went out looking for Tommy the next day, and she didn't come home. Well, they found her days later in Sevier County. Okay, so that's where it gets a little screwy. Is you got one murder that happened first in Blount County, then you got one murder that happened second that was in Sevier County.
Oh, okay. So see, I was kind of thinking they was kind of closer together.
They were, well, Sevier County and Blount County are close, but Tommy's body was found in Blount County off the banks off of a bank on a river, and then Connie was found in Sevier County, up in some backwoods. So,
Hey, Mark.
but anyway, so when they went to court, when they started taking all this to court, they took Connie to court first. We went to court in Sevier County first. So their motive for them killing her was to cover up Tommy's murder, but we hadn't been to that trial yet, so they wasn't even convicted of that murder yet.
Right.
So that's where it kind of gets screwy, and people are like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. No, it doesn't.
How can you charge a guy for this guy and you haven't even covered this one yet, which you say is why they done it?
Right. So, but the night that this was in question, the state with Tommy they wanted Tommy dead on Friday night. I will tell you, Gary picked me up on Friday night, and when they picked me up, I was at his brother's house, and they told us that Tommy had left with some girl over in Blount County, but they couldn't get him to come back with them, and so they were worried about him. So we didn't think anything of it because they were just out, they were drinking. He found a girl that he decided he was going to go with instead of the guys. So that's what he did. So we go back over to Gary's uncle's house, and Tommy just lives down the road. And this is a holler. It's in a holler. So he lives down the road. So we're sitting, like, James and his wife is like standing in the kitchen at the bar, and me and Gary was sitting on the couch in the living room, and somebody came beating on the door. I mean, just like bam, bam, bam. Well, they didn't know what it was, so of course Linda went to the door and opened it up, and it was one of Tommy's nieces, which was Connie's daughter, and that she wanted to know where Tommy was because his trailer was on fire. Well, we didn't know his trailer was on fire, so we're like, Gary told him, or James and Gary told him he's with some girl over in Blount County. We couldn't get him to come back with us. And then she was okay then. She was like, okay, Tommy's not in the trailer. That's all we wanted to know. But his trailer burnt to the ground. So if you back it up to where people have talked about Tommy's trailer before, his trailer was a fire hazard anyway. Like when I met him in December, when I went in his trailer in December, he had one of those stoves in there that had the pipe that he either burnt wood or coal in it, and they had holes in it where some of the embers would come out, and he had burn on the carpet and stuff. But he also had wires hanging out of the wall. And I remember specifically that night that I was like, Tommy, that's not good. That's, that could catch on fire. I remember telling him that then. And he said, well, he goes, it's already been on fire a couple of times. And he showed me the burn marks and stuff. And I just shook my head. I was like, oh gosh, okay. So anyway, they determined that it was electrical that burnt his trailer down. That's what the first they said. So Connie had came over and called and said that Tommy had tried to call, but her husband wouldn't take his call. Would they try to find out where he was? And, they're like, well, we can call places, but he left with that girl. Well, I want to say about 10:30, 11 o'clock, Connie called and she said, I just talked to Tommy. He's in Blount County Jail. They got him for public drunkenness. Will you go pick him up? Will you wait and go pick him up? Because Nobody in the family will go get him. And that was nothing. That was nothing for them to go get him out of jail because they did all the time. Back up too with Tommy. Tommy had a prosthetic leg, and it was a hollow one. So that'll be in the story later. That part of it later. Just remember that. So about a week apart. Anyway, so they went to get Tommy, and at first they told him they had to come back because he hadn't been there long enough. So they came back and told us, well, we have to go back and get him. So we sat around and everything. Then they went back to get Tommy when it was time to get him. And when they came out of the jail with Tommy, the girl that he had left with prior was in the parking lot waiting on Tommy. Well, they were telling Tommy, you've got to get back to Sevier County. Your trailer is gone. It's burnt. You need to get back. Well, he thought they were lying to him. They was like, no. He's like, no, y'all just want me. You just all don't want me to go with her. You just want me to, leave with you out, and I'm not going to do it. He got in the car with the girl, whoever they were, and lo and behold, that night, the cameras weren't working in the police department, so they couldn't say anything about who they left with or whatever. So that's where they wanted to say that they saw Tommy last alive. They want to say that they left the bar, they drove down Alcoa Highway, they got out and they shot him, and then they came back to us. Well, when they came back home, they were like, we can't get Tommy out. We can't get him to come back. He's gone with this old girl, blah, 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 all that stuff. So we went on out to the Huddle House and ate that night because it's the only thing that stayed open all night. And, we'd been worried about the house fire, worried about where Tommy was. They had to go pick him up. So we were hungry. So the next morning, Connie called and said, Tommy didn't come home. And we're like, well, he'll be home shortly. Surely he'll be hungry and want to come home or whatever. Still, there was no Tommy. So Connie said Connie wanted to go look for Tommy on a Saturday. So she did. And she ran into Gary and his uncle on the way, and they took her over to the bar to try to see if he had came back with the girl and all that. And then they looked at other places. They went to a store. Connie was showing everybody his picture. Nobody had seen Tommy. So when they were leaving, Gary and James came on back, and they said Connie left, and she said, I know one more place where he might be, and you all can't go with me. So we still to this day don't know where that place was, who she thought she was going to go see where Tommy was. Connie was not seen again after that. So there's two of them that now they say that they seen them. They were the last ones to see them alive. So that's how they got wrangled into this. That's how, because they zoned in on them. Later on, they had other suspects. They even had a guy that came down to the jail and said, I know where Connie's at. I know how you're going to find her. Did it. And they told him he was the town drunk, that they didn't want to hear anything he had to say. So there was that one. So that was the beginning of it. And that's a lot.
You think there's any truth to what the guy came and said he did it? You think there's any truth of him?
Well, I do, because he told them how they were going to find Connie. And this was before they found her. Connie was found burnt in her car. They don't know if she was alive when she was burnt. They don't know if she was dead when she was burnt. They don't even know. They thought that she had overdosed and caught herself on fire because she had been in a mental institute a couple months before that trying to commit suicide. So it never was. We don't know how she died. We just know that she was burned up in the car. Was she dead or was she alive when the car burnt up? We don't know.
Judy's wanting somebody to put this on Facebook. This video, I guess.
Okay. I don't know how. So, but anyway, one of the big factors of all this was the timeline that the state wanted to give. So they wanted to say that they were at the bar at 7:00. They killed Tommy at 7:00. They were in Sevier County at 7 o'clock, and we was at James's house at 7 o'clock. So they had them in 5 different places at 7 o'clock.
And I have to ask this: what is their do they think the motive was?
No motive for Tommy, none whatsoever. The
They
motive
just
for
did
huh?
it. Gary and his uncle just did it.
That they just did it. They say that they killed Connie to cover up Tommy, but no motive for Tommy, and they had no motive for Connie, but they took Connie to court first with no motive of even killing Tommy.
See, that don't even make sense in itself.
It doesn't make sense because we had a lady that came in to testify, and she was talking about the other man. His name was Bill Cogdell, that had threatened her. She had had some kind of warrant against his brother or something, and had threatened her that if she didn't drop the warrant and didn't keep her mouth shut, then she was going to do her like he did Connie.
Oh man.
And she came to court and she told that they just blew it off. I mean, seriously blew it off. So
Hey, I'm just saying hi to a few people coming in.
Oh, okay. So it's just like this. I can't make this stuff up, and I get confused. And I was there. I was there when this happened. So anyway, so Gary and his uncle go. So they could. Okay. So Tommy's not found yet Friday. Sunday, Connie's missing from Saturday. So Monday, or it might have been Sunday, I can't remember, Sunday or Monday, they went to the police department themselves and said, we want to help. We want to know what's happened to them. This is what we know. We want to know where they're at. So they went to the police department on 2 different occasions trying to help them figure out where Tommy was and where Connie was. Never said that they had them as suspects, nothing. They went on their own. So Monday morning, let me back this up too. So the night that Tommy was supposed to have been killed. So you have to picture this. When I say in a holler, we were in a holler. There were no street lights. It was late at night. There was nothing. It was just pitch black. You couldn't see your hand in front of you. But one of the witnesses tried to say, now she's 150 feet away, trees in the way. She's looking out her window with the lights on in the back. But she says she sees them put something in the truck that looks like a shotgun.
And yet it's so dark you can't see your hand in front of your face.
Right. And then scientifically, if you're like that and the lights are on behind you, you're not going to see anything but your reflection.
Right.
So that was one of them.
Kathy's wanting to know where was Connie's car found?
Connie's car was found over in Sevier County. It was called it was a place off of Hunt Road, off of Manning, and I don't know where it's at. I just know it was in Sevier County. I don't know where Tommy's body was found because I didn't want to know where either one of them was found. But it was like we had a woman that came. She was supposed to be one of the witnesses. Said that she saw a white truck with mudder tires come out of where they found Tommy. Well, we found out years later, and this lady's even coming forward. Her first statement was she saw a Bronco. Her second statement, it was a Blazer. Her third statement said it had mudder tires. The white truck that James had was it was a truck with a toolbox up on it, and it had factory tires on it. It was not mudder tires. She's come forth here in the last 3 years saying that they took her words and they misled her with her words, is what she's saying. She's not coming out and saying they told her what to say or whatever, but she didn't say anything or even know anything about a white truck until days later, after the detective had been going and talking to her. So we were at a motion hearing, and her foster son, which nobody knew about, her foster son came in and said that it had been bothering him and he needed to tell it. And the DA was like, yeah, come on, because they had no idea what he was going to say. He said she lied, that there was a detective that kept coming and telling her, you saw a white truck. You saw a truck with motor tires. I don't know where they get the motor tires from at all. So that's the first witness that the detective said he had. The second witness was a guy that he said he saw Gary's Camaro coming from the scene of Tommy's crime. He didn't say that. Years later, he came back and he said, I saw a black boxy car. The black boxy car would have been the Ford Fairlane that the girl was in that Tommy had left with. But they never did anything. They never looked at it. They never looked for it.
When they left the police station and he got in the car with that girl, was there anybody else in there with
they said they saw heads in there, but they didn't know who it was or anything. They didn't know who these people were. And the thing of it is, how Tommy went to jail is that when he met with that girl at a convenience store, and that was another thing. They said get the records, get the videotape. You'll see the videotape was taped over, so we didn't have that. So when Tommy got picked up for public drunkenness, he was on the side of Alcoa Highway, on the back of a truck of two men. They never got the license plate of the truck. They never asked who these two men were. They never done any of that. And on down the road was a car with some girls in it, and they never asked them what they were there for either.
Judy's asking about something about some other girl.
That other girl doesn't have anything to do with this, but the other suspect that we think the person that we think did all this, his name was Lester Johnson. He had actually came into town the night that Tommy went missing. They were involved in some, I don't know what trial it was for this Lester Johnson up in North Carolina. Tommy and Connie was supposed to be witnesses against him. And he had made threats and stuff that he was going to kill anybody or hurt anybody that showed up, because there's statements on down that we found that he threatened the judge, he threatened the DA, he threatened anybody and everybody that had anything to do with that case. And his girlfriend at the time told him, we dropped him off in Sevier County the night that Tommy went missing, and he drove a white truck. So the girl that she got her throat slit, they threw it out. They did nothing to Lester Johnson. Nothing. So that's where Sierra said that throws too much more confusion in the already confusing web of Gary's story. And it does, because it goes back
to keep up with,
Yeah. So that goes to show there's another suspect that they never looked at all. But the biggest thing with the state is they wanted Tommy dead on a Friday night. Tommy was not found until Monday afternoon. So that makes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday afternoon. When they found him, he was in full rigor mortis. Rigor mortis that only lasts 24 to 36 hours. They had the EMS that said they couldn't even hardly get him on the gurney because he was in full rigor mortis.
Right.
So that killed the state's timeline, but that didn't matter. We had Dr. Bass from the UT Body Farm here in Knoxville said that rigor mortis only lasts longest 36 hours. We had the state's own medical examiner told them rigor mortis only lasted 24 to 36 hours. We had another guy come in, no, rigor mortis only 36 to 26 hours, and that screwed the state's everything. But they brought in, there was so many times during this trial that we thought they were going to be acquitted, that they were going to come home, because they simply had nothing. When I say they had nothing, People's got to realize this case was fully circumstantial evidence. There was no eyewitnesses. There was no fingerprints. There was no weapon. There was no motive. There was no nothing. Nothing. And so, at the very last minute in Blount County, when we didn't have time to do anything, and let me just put it this way, if you don't have money for a lawyer, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You got to go. If you got to go with the public defender, they're only going to do so much. They're not going to fight for you. These lawyers even asked to be taken off of this case because they said they didn't know how to try a death penalty case. And the judge told them, "You're staying on this case. We're not putting anybody else on this case." That was one of the big things too that we tried. They wouldn't have it. They made them stay on it. So when Charles Harlan came in, they took half of that day, half of that morning, to tell these jurors and stuff how his credentials and stuff. What they didn't tell them, and what we didn't know, is he was already under investigation for falsifying other autopsies and stuff. And if any of you all go ahead and look up Charles Harlan, medical examiner from Tennessee, you're going to see all the stuff that he did wrong. A lot of these other people got new trials because of him, but Gary didn't get one. So anyway, Charles Harlan says yes, that rigor mortis can last for that long, and the reason that now this is 5 years later, he didn't see the body, he didn't any of it. He looked on the slide. He looked on the slide and said, "Oh yeah, he was dead on Friday night," which is scientifically impossible.
Right.
So that's just not even a tidbit of what they've done wrong. We had the TBI agent that said he had a six-page statement from Gary, that Gary said he was with James that whole weekend and that he did this that whole weekend, but yet Gary didn't sign that paper. And he signed his paper, and he also forged another detective's name on it.
And then there was that this shotgun shells that look like they've been set together.
Yes, so they did. So they went to where Tommy was found. They did all their sweeping and everything. A few days later, they went to Gary's uncle's house to search because they had got a call that they were packing up and leaving town. They weren't packing up and leaving town. They were packing up and going over to Seymour to get out of the holler because that family wasn't even letting them out of the holler when they come through. So it was like a feud. So they wanted to get away from it. So they just went. We were still in Sevier County. So that was their reasoning to go over and search James's property without anybody being there. So they went over. So of course, they shot guns and had targets, and there was a barrel full of, shells and everything, and they got big bags of it. Well, the detective decided, he thought, well, there was just something that told me I needed to go look again. And when he did, and he went that time, lo and behold, there was two shells laying there side by side, just perfectly side by side, after they had already did their full search to begin with.
Yeah.
So,
I think he laid them down there himself.
Yeah, he did. And the things that I've read, and then there's also things that I've read, like these barmaids, or these waitresses, back then they were called barmaids. I found some statements that they had give to the TBI and stuff, and I just found this a few months ago, that they're describing what Gary looked like and describing what James looked like. The only thing that they could say James was he had a floppy hat on and he was an older man. That's it. Nothing else. They described Gary as no facial hair and a scar down the side of his face. Gary's always had facial hair and he don't have no scar down the side of his face. And I remember when we went to court, they made him shave so they could show him he had no scar down the side of his face.
So what did they say about that with no scar?
Nothing. Like and a lot of the things too that the judges would say, they would say, well, we'll let it go. The appeals court will take care of that. The appeals court. So let me tell you about the appeals court. One of the judges on the appeals court was also the wife of one of the judges in Sevier County that did the case in Sevier County. He was on that court after the fact. And then, Belinda, he admitted, the TBI agent admitted on the stand that he had lied to obtain the warrant to search James's place. He did say that on the stand, and the judge just looked at him and said, "Well, he'll have to live with that. His lie. He'll have to live with that."
That's
No, he didn't have.
crazy.
He didn't have to live with that. Gary's had to live with that.
Wow.
But the biggest thing of it all is they would not separate their trials. So every time something comes up and the DA over here has to say something, he'll say, "Well, he had the jury of his peers. He's this." Gary didn't have the jury of his own peers. He had to sit with someone else, same jury. Whatever they brought in was for both of them, not just one of them. And still, Gary's name never hardly ever came up in the trial. He just had to sit there. There was nothing that came up hardly. So they had absolutely nothing on him. Everything was his uncle's truck, his uncle's property. Nothing about Gary's. That even Gary's Camaro, the ones they tried to say that they seen his Camaro. The girl up on stand, they tried to get her. They had Gary's was a newer model Camaro, and the one that everybody's seen out on Alcoa Highway, they said that they seen scuffling out on Alcoa Highway was an older Camaro. And one of the ladies got up and she goes, "No, I know my Camaros. It was not this one that I saw, which was not Gary's. It was this one, a totally different body type of Camaro." And they argued with her about that. And she said, "No, I know my Camaros. I did not see it, a newer Camaro." So that should have been put out of it, but they just kept on and they kept lying. And so the jurors, they would ask questions and they wouldn't answer the questions of the jurors, because when we hired Heather, she went and talked to, and this has just been 5 years ago when we hired Heather. She went and talked to these witnesses, and she went and talked to these jurors, and almost every juror that's still alive that she talked to, they were like, "Oh no, the young boy didn't do it." And we're like, "Well, he's the one that's getting ready to be executed." And they're
Right.
like, "No, that's not fair." Well, they didn't understand that when they said that they were given the death penalty, that they were giving it to both of them. And then one of the girls said that she didn't want to sign it, but the foreman from the beginning of the whole thing said they're guilty of sin and we're going to find them guilty from the whole beginning. And I will tell you this, even after they got the death penalty, they got it, and they got it. They tried to come back and try to say, "If you will plead guilty, we'll give you life. If you'll just
This
go
is
ahead and
crazy.
plead guilty, we'll give you life." And Gary's like, "I'm not pleading guilty to anything because I didn't do anything. That was my best friend, and I didn't kill my best friend." So
Right.
35 years later, here we are 35 years later, and this is just not really anything. I mean, there's so much, especially the timeline. That timeline is what really gets me, because that right there should have been thrown out. Should have been thrown out when they couldn't describe them. But
Most people, I think most people, if they was guilty, would have took the life sentence plea bargain.
absolutely, I absolutely would have took a life sentence. Or
Yeah.
if they were guilty, I mean, if they were guilty, then you would think that they would turn on each other.
Right.
But they
Exactly.
didn't. They didn't. And there was only one shotgun shell. I mean, there was only one in Tommy. So who pulled the trigger? I mean, if I was with somebody and they killed somebody, I'm not going to go down for them.
Right.
You know, it's just not going to happen. And even as much time as Gary's done and everything he's done, he's still, because sometimes I get aggravated because, I understand that Tommy's family are the victims as well. I understand that. But people don't understand that we're victims as well. Our
Right.
loved ones was taken away from us, and we know they didn't do it. So Gary is always the one that has to reel me in and tell me, "You have to look at it this way." He goes, "They're victims. They lost their loved ones. They think we did it. you can't argue with them. I was like, well, I understand that. I'm
That's
not going to
true.
argue with them. I'm not going to
He
argue
did.
with them, but I just
He
want them,
did.
you know, Gary, they know that Gary didn't do it. I mean, back in the day, Tommy and Connie's mom told Gary's mom, we know Gary didn't do it, but the DA told us if we tried to help Gary, they would never get anybody for my children's murders. And so that's, they did whatever. And to this day, they'll tell you they wish they had just got life and not the death penalty. So, yeah.
That's just crazy.
But the state okay, so this is what Sierra's saying. The state made the jury believe whatever they gave one, they had to give the other. And since they would
Both.
not separate them, Gary was pretty much screwed from the beginning. So, but that's what I can see.
And they
But
convicted them on circumstantial evidence and lies and little things that they.
circumstantial evidence and law. And the thing about it is, everything that I'm telling you, I can show you on paper. I can
Oh
show
no,
you
you
when we get, yeah. And the one thing that, and see, people start saying, we were young. I was 24. Gary was 27. And we was like, you're not going to jail because you didn't do this. You're not going to prison because they have nothing on you. We just didn't think it was going to happen. But when it did happen, we're like, oh my gosh, they did do it. But the TBI agent told him when he was talking to him, he said, you see that paper bag laying there on that table? He goes, I can convict that paper bag if I want to. And he did tell Gary, he goes, I'm taking you down one way or the other, because he wanted Gary to just, this, that. But he didn't know anything. They did me the same way. If you tell us this, if you don't tell us that. And I'm like, I don't know anything. And I will tell you too, when we were sitting in court, when I could finally go in the courtroom, the lies that they were telling, I was just like, you can't do anything. If you jump up and say anything, they're going to put you out and put you in jail. But I mean,
Right.
so many
Contempt of
lies, and
court.
sitting there knowing that they were lying about it. And then, so Gary's actually had two times that he could have had a new trial. His public defender that he had let him soft through the crack. She didn't respond to him. She didn't do anything. So 2 times he could have had a new trial and been home. 2 times they she let the timeline on that go by.
I'm just reading some of these comments.
What are you reading? Because I can't see anything now.
I was reading what Mark was saying. I think they're just mainly talking with each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then too, Gary also willingly did a lie detectors test for
He
them,
tells it.
and he passed it, and they wouldn't use it.
Yeah, see that they say it's not admissible in court, but if he was found guilty, they said he was guilty, they would use that in court.
Right. Yeah, he did. He did a lie detectors test. He tried to help He tried to help them, find Tommy, find Connie, help them with everything he could. Tried to tell them everything, point for point, what they did that night. Then they took everything and used it against them.
I just don't see how they could have done it. But anyway, this has got to be brought to attention as many people as possible, man, because not only is this a injustice to Gary, but we need to get him out.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I thought last year, you said he's only got like a year or something. I'm thinking, oh man.
Well, right now we don't know, but I will tell you, we had an execution in Tennessee this week on Tuesday.
Oh.
It was a hard one because I knew him. We knew him. Him and Gary were buddies in there. And his name was Byron. And I will tell you right now, he was intellectually disabled. He was in a wheelchair. He had diabetes. He had a port. He was on dialysis. He had hips replaced. He had a defibrillator, which is really made national because they wouldn't take that or stop that defibrillator. And when they executed him, they came out and told how horrifying it was, how he screamed, how he was telling them it hurt, how he couldn't do it because it hurt so bad, and yeah, it was a torture. They tried to say that medicine.
I saw a news thing where they
Yeah,
were saying that he screamed.
he did. They said he did, but it was a little bit hard and mentally this week because Byron was a friend. And they, you read Byron. Here's what people don't understand. You go to Google and you read these people's, you read what they want you to read, but you got to get
Right.
in there and you got to peel those layers back,
Exactly.
because you read Gary's appeal and it sounds like the DA wrote his appeal. But you've got to peel those layers back. So as long as I've known Byron, and Gary took care of Byron in there too, Byron always maintained his innocence too. And if you look at his case, the only thing you hear is that he killed a woman and her 2 children. But did he? Did he do it? They didn't have
Right.
much evidence on him either. They didn't have the evidence that they
I've always said
in the
that.
late 80s, early
I've
90s.
always said that, when I see somebody, when I was in prison and I talk to somebody, they talk about their case or something, or what really happened, even if they was guilty,
Yeah.
the news makes it sound like it's a lot worse than it really is, you know. And
Right.
you don't really know the circumstances of why this person did this or that until you actually talk to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But Melinda made a good point too, and she's right. The main point that we think that Gary's whole trial and conviction hung on Harlan's testimony, and he's no longer in office because of his misconduct, and had since went off to another state in hiding. He did go to another state. I mean, he's dead now, but his wife also got in trouble a few years back, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, for doing the same thing that he did. With Harlan, they resumed some bodies here not too back as 3 little black boys that he said had drowned, and they resumed their bodies, and they didn't drown. Somebody killed them, and Harlan said they drowned. So whoever killed those little boys got by with that. There was an episode too where he had let his dog in the autopsy room, and his dog was eating body parts, liver
Oh,
and stuff like that. When they cleaned his house out, in his basement, there was body parts, there was organs and stuff in jars, there was all kinds of autopsy slides. I mean, all this stuff in this man's house that he should have not had in his house. What else? He had said that this 11-year-old boy had died of SIDS. He was so emaciated and stuff, but Harlan said he died of SIDS
wow.
because I guess that's what the state wanted. And then there was this one guy that he was dead, and years later he came up. They found him somewhere else that he was supposed to have been the one that was dead, and that wasn't the person that was dead.
This is crazy. I don't know. Let's see what percentage my phone is. Yeah, it's getting pretty low. I want you to tell people about the petition for Gary. Did you hear me?
Yes, it's on. You can go to Gary Wayne's Justice for Gary Wayne Sutton.com. That's his website. Or you can go to change.org and type his name in and it'll come up. But if you go to his website, everything's on it. You can even read some of his story. You can read the discrepancies.
Yeah, I suggest
All
people do
that.
that. I think people should do that. If you're interested in helping us out here, go there, sign the petition. If you believe he's innocent, after hearing what we said, read more of the stories and stuff. And I think there's a couple places on Facebook about Gary, isn't there? You guys got a couple pages
There's
set
a lot
up?
of places on there about Gary. If you go to just Google his name, there's all kinds of news reports going to come up what we've been doing in the last 5 years. If you go to YouTube, Libby Cunningham did one. It's called The Saga of Gary Wayne Sutton. Dennis Ferrer in Nashville on Fox 17 does great reports. You've got Channel 5 in Nashville. You've got Channel 10 in Knoxville. In 2010, 2010, and you'll have to go on YouTube to find it. It's called I have a YouTube page that has some of this stuff on it. You can't find it now. Only reason I have it is because I had recorded it back in 2010. 2020 did an episode about Charles Harlan and showed that the people that he could have put on death row falsely, and Gary was one of them that was in that interview and stuff. When the reporter of 2020 asked Harlan about this case, he said, "You sent two men to prison that we don't think that they did it." He goes, I don't recall that. He doesn't remember that case. He didn't know and he got mad and he walked out on that reporter because he said, "That's not what I'm here for. I'm here for whatever else he was." But they called him out on it and he didn't remember it.
All right.
So, and the thing about it is there's no way that the court did not know that Charles Harlan was under investigation.
Right.
But it goes back to that, well, Gary's lawyers should have investigated him. Well, how's Gary supposed to know that?
Exactly.
So, yeah,
now,
so that there.
Are you guys trying to get a hold of the politicians, like the governor?
Well, let me tell you, here's where we're at with that. All right, so I've been to the Capitol twice, and I've talked to senators and representatives, and we have a few senators. We've got Senator Wally. There's T.R. Williams that used to be a commissioner in his town. We have Senator Hensley, who used to be a medical examiner himself, and he said there's no way that you can predict the time of death on slides. We do have a lot of them that's behind us, but you can't get Governor Lee to look at it. You can't get Governor Lee to do anything. He doesn't want to do anything about it. So when we were going and the executions in Tennessee were stayed for a little while, one of the reporters made sure that they went to a press conference where Governor Lee was so they could specifically ask him about Gary's case. And his words was, I am not going to talk about any death row inmates cases until the protocol is put back in place, and I think that will be sooner than later. And I will not look at any cases of death row until the protocol is put back in place. All right, so I did everything I needed to do. As soon as that protocol went back in place, I started calling. Now he will not look at any death row inmates case until they get an execution date. When they get an execution date, it's too late because we just went through that with Byron for the clemency for everything, and they took him over 5,000 signatures on Byron, plus everything that they did,
so
and the governor did not look at it.
It seems like the news at least has better success at talking to them than you do, the governor. So maybe you need to get the news back on him again,
Yeah, well, they've tried. They've asked him that he won't talk to anybody. It was me and Sierra. It was me and my daughter, Gary's niece and Gary's daughter. We were at the Capitol, and we went to the governor's office. As soon as we went to his office, I know he was there because the light was on under his door. There was his security came out and surrounded us and was talking to us, and we were like, we need to talk to the governor. Well, we'll give him your information. No, we need to talk to him. And then Sierra, she was like, well, is he in there? And they just looked, and I looked at Sierra, and I said, they can't tell you yet, but yeah, he's in there. So we took our packet that we had, and we threw it up and under his door. So I know he has it. He knows about Gary. Everybody in that Capitol knows about Gary. We have people that are for Gary and want to help Gary, but the governor will not even listen to them. They send him emails.
I know at least once, maybe more than once, you guys was on the Capitol steps one time, weren't you? Protesting?
Yeah, we've been on the Capitol steps twice. And then twice, we've been on the Capitol step twice. We've been in the Capitol talking to everybody twice.
It's just...
So, and we've mailed hundreds and hundreds of letters to Governor Lee. I mean, we did mass emails, we did mass letters, we've done everything. We just don't know what else to do. He refuses to talk with us.
I wish I could get thousands of people to write the governor, you know, just
We've had
having
thousands.
bombarded with letters, you know.
Well, and I've
What needs to
called. I
happen?
mean, I've called and I've like, I know I need to talk to him. I need him to sit down and have a we've had 3 press conferences actually asking him to sit down and talk with us. Or asking him to at least get his people to look at this, you know, because he has investigators and stuff that could come out and revisit this and everything. But he won't. He has nothing to do with anything that has the legal system. He lets the
Do,
court to do their thing.
do you know anybody in Tennessee that's, I don't know, got a little juice, influential, well known?
No, but if we knew Jelly Roll and we could get to Morgan Wallen or we could get to Kid Rock or we could get to any of them, they would
Up
take us right
church.
up in there.
Up
Huh?
church. Up church. He's a good old Tennessee boy.
He is, but I don't know. Up church is not getting along very well right now with anybody.
He
So
seems like he's went off the deep end a couple times.
he has. I don't know what's going on with him, but I mean, you can't if you don't have money and you're not rich and you're famous, Governor Lee's not going to talk to you.
Yeah, you need to get Jelly Roll and some of them guys, that, you know.
Yeah.
It seems like.
But that's where we're at. We need to get, and so finally, after we've been trying for years. I mean, Gary's been trying to get this woman off of his case for over 20 years. We've been trying to get her off the case since I came back in on it 5 years ago. Last month, they finally signed it where she's off his case. He does have a new lawyer now. The only good
Oh,
thing
good.
about this new lawyer is that she is not from Tennessee. So we've got our fingers crossed that because she's not from Tennessee, she doesn't care to come in here and blow it wide open.
Right. That's good.
And I'll tell you too, we went and we sat down like for a whole week. We went to that Capitol and we had appointments with everybody. I mean, I'm telling you, there's not one person at Capitol we've not talked to. And we're a Republican state, and I'm but I'm going to tell you right now, the Democrats were the most compassionate ones, and the ones where they're like, "Thank
Really?
you." The Democrats, they were like, "Thank you for doing this. We appreciate you doing this. You keep doing what you're doing." But we don't have any pull because we have the Republicans has the pull right now. Now, I'm not saying that bad against the Republicans. I'm not saying it bad against the Democrats. Because I can't tell you what I am because I don't trust any of them.
I don't either.
Because I've had to deal with them. I've had to deal with them. I never knew that there is so much politics into everything.
Everything.
And this is a
You
politic.
know,
It's all
the
politics.
the name politician is just a fancy way of saying a crook. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we went to our I'll tell you one. I'm not going to say which one it was, but we had one that we went to that wanted to talk to us with another rep and all this, and they had already talked about it. And the one rep said, "You do know that I am for the death penalty." And Gary's niece said, "Are you for the death penalty for somebody that didn't do it?" But my thing with that is that they had already talked about it. They already have their mind made up. They're not going to go any further and look into anything. And then the ones that we thought was going to do something, then that rep had already got to them and said, "They're guilty as sin. You don't need to do nothing for them."
That's just crazy.
So that's where it goes. You go, but you've just got to be. I don't know what else to do. I mean, we're going back to the Capitol. I don't know when yet, but we're going back. And
That's
if
the
we
only
can
thing
get
you
more
can do.
media,
It's really the only thing you can do is get the media involved and show up on the Capitol steps. You know. I don't know.
but it's still, just like this with, I have to go back to Byron because it's just really, this man should never been executed. He should have never. But the governor didn't care. He didn't care. He didn't think twice about it. Just Let them do what they want to do. They've done made their choice. So it's the Supreme Court that runs it. And how do you get to them? How do you get to them to talk to them? If you do that, then you're going to get in trouble, and then it might make it worse. So it's like, what do you do now? So
Judy said she sent emails to the governor. Yeah, I sent one too, but I think I'm going to send another one.
yeah,
I mean, that's the only thing
yeah.
I know to do, you know, besides do
Well,
these lives and stuff with you. You know, I can't, it's frustrating because you try to think of things to do and
yeah.
you think you ain't
And
good
I
enough.
need to get one thing and get on point. But like I tell you, when we start talking about this, you can't not go over into Sevier County and not jump back to Blount County,
Right.
because they did the Sevier County trial, and the reasoning that they say their motive that they killed Connie was to cover up Tommy. But I'll tell you, when we went to Blount County trial, they brought Sevier County, everything back into Sevier County. They didn't really hardly even talk about Tommy in Blount County. It was all about what they did, why, and that was it. And Gary's name was never ever brought up. Maybe here and there, maybe here and there, and then yeah,
So, did you plan on doing more of these? I mean,
yeah.
I'm willing
If you,
if you are.
yeah, I'm ready. If you are, I'll get Sierra and Amy and them together to help to keep us on track, and maybe I'll tell you who has a really great story to tell, and if she will, and I'm sure she will, is Gary's daughter. Gary's daughter. She was a year old when Gary went to prison or went to jail, and to hear her tell her stories of how she missed her dad, the milestones that her dad missed in her life and stuff. And just to hear her story is so emotional. And so, if it doesn't get to your heart, then nothing will. But, she lost her dad at a year old and really didn't get to know her dad. All she knows her dad is in prison, and that's where she saw her dad. He did what he could with her, to make it the best, relationship with his daughter. And they do have a good relationship, but her story needs to be told as well.
Well, if she's willing and you guys want to, we can do that too.
Okay. And I know that Heather, if we ask Heather, I know she would come on and tell you about her investigation.
Yeah, I'll do that too.
She she
Anything I
what
can
she
do,
did.
anything I can do to bring attention to Gary's case, I'm willing to do. You know, whether it's bringing
We appreciate it.
other people on,
Yeah.
you on, you know,
Yeah.
anything that's going to help him, I'm willing to do. You know,
Well, we
that's
appreciate
my
anything.
blessing.
And that's another thing that his lawyer, the one we have now, she said at this point, she said we need media, podcast, anything and everything. We need to do it, to where his other lawyer told us not to do it.
Yeah, so people, please share this. Get this out to as many people as possible. And my phone is getting low. I didn't realize it was
Mine
that
is too.
low. Yours is too?
Yeah, it is.
It looks like it's getting darker too.
It is.
All right, so I'm going to close this, people, and I thank you guys for showing up. And like I said, share this, and sign the petition if you haven't. Um, write the governor. You know, I just want the
Call
governor
him.
to look at it. Just look at it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
If we could take one day and get everybody to do it at the same time. I know that there was one here, his name was Purvis Payne. They did that, and they got so many calls and so much going that they had to shut the phones down at the Capitol
Yeah, that's what
because
we need to
people were
do.
calling.
I think
Because
we
people
do
were
that.
calling.
We need
Yeah,
to
people were calling.
We need a
Yeah.
coordinated
Well,
way to do that.
yes, if you could get everybody to do it. I mean, all you have to do is, he has a line that you can push to leave you can leave the governor comments. All you have to do is call free Gary Wayne Sutton, free Gary Wayne Sutton. That's all
Right.
you have to do. Call it, hang up, whatever, is all you have to do.
That's right. All right, I'm going to get off
Um,
here. Thank you again, Carol. You know,
all right, thank you.
yeah, no problem. It's an honor to do this, and it needs to be done. And I just feel like we need to figure out something else to do too. And I just can't think of anything.
I can't. I got to get everybody together. We've got to start putting our heads together. And
I think so
anybody
too.
that has any comments, anything, any suggestions, we're open to it.
Exactly. All right. I'll see you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. You're welcome. Bye.